And we're back with the Dry Scoop Podcast.
Dry Scoop Podcast, baby.
2026. This is a special episode, everybody.
It is a special one because
Brian wants to talk about steroids.
we're going to talk. So what brought this up was I get hit up a lot about TRT. And I don't think it's me. I think it's in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
It's very popular right now. Anthony, there's probably just a lot of dudes that don't want to get older, and it's very readily available. We're talking TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. And so just because of the space I'm in, I get a lot of questions on TRT. So what I thought we would do, I understand there's not we don't have thousands of listeners probably, but we can clip this up.
Yeah, we do.
We can clip this up and put it out there for people to listen to, use.
Yeah.
And just kind of come like this is. I'm certainly not an expert, not a physician, just your average gym guy who's been in the industry for 20 plus years and just been around it.
20 years. Well, I guess if you count your time starting in GNC and
Yeah.
silver. Yeah. Yep. So tell us about TRT.
TRT is testosterone replacement therapy, and I think we've talked a little bit about this, but we'll just dive in.
When did it become
today.
popular? When did you start noticing that
So
it was mainstream?
So there was never like the telehealth. I think the really emerging of it being like an internet telehealth thing where you didn't have to go. It wasn't. It used to be like a really taboo thing. You know,
Right.
It used to be really taboo to go to be like on testosterone. You got it from a guy at the gym. Those guys were on steroids, and then it just became, I'm sure, through podcasts and again, like being able to go to telehealth clinics, these places where it's not your regular doctor. They exist for the purpose of hormone replacement therapy.
Right.
Probably in the last, I would say, 10 years, but really 5 to 7, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I was doing it in 2017. So yeah, but probably, 10
Going through
years.
a clinic?
Yeah, I went through a clinic in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, how old were you?
25.
And then
But
you
I
got a
had-
prescription?
But I had terrible test levels. I took a bunch of pros in college. My test levels were in the 300s, low 300s. Yeah. So they were more than happy to put me on.
So here's, I guess, I don't know where to start, but let's start like with TRT, because I get like, I literally once a week, I will have somebody ask me like out of the blue, like, hey, should I be on TRT? And there does come a point where you cannot be optimal, males, age, other, work factors, stress factors, that you can't be optimal. And a lot of it's age, natural alone. But what I would tell everyone, and this is true, most guys probably don't have out and out low testosterone on their own. It's probably like environmental factors that they have going on that causes them to have low testosterone. Not that they have low testosterone and they're
Right.
there's things in their control preventing them.
Right. They're not the guys that are optimizing their natural levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's can I get a Band-Aid for this? But
Right.
like you need to fix the underlying cause. You got a sore there, and you need to address that. So let's start there. Like, first of all, sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't know if that's the easiest one to fix, but that's the most like low-hanging fruit. Like, if you're not sleeping, that's where your body does a lot of its endocrine production. So a lot of your testosterone growth hormones are being produced at night. Your body's building them at night. And if you're not sleeping enough, you're going to have excess cortisol levels. You're going to have lower testosterone levels.
And with the sleep too, it's not that, I try to sleep and I can't get good sleep. It's, are you choosing to stay up super late?
Right.
That type
Right.
of stuff.
And I'm the worst. Like I don't, my entire adult life, I've fought with getting enough sleep. Both I have a busy brain at times, I'm stress, work, whatever. So I have a hard time shutting it off. And I choose to stay up sometimes. My wife and I, we're late night people. We always joke with my folks that when we're retired, we'll be that couple that's up till 4 a.m. and gets up at 10.
Right.
Like 4 a.m. might be an exaggeration, but we're night owls. We just are. That's what we prefer. I'm very productive at night, so it's hard for me to know that I got to get up in the morning. I get up at 6, try to be out doing cardio at 6:30. It's hard for me to be in bed and asleep by 10 to get my 8 hours. That's not 8 hours of sleep. That'd be optimal. That's 8 hours in bed. Maybe I'm getting 7 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. So sleep is the first one. Next, protein levels. Okay. And this protein having adequate protein does help you not produce testosterone, but the lack thereof will keep you from producing testosterone. And even with optimal testosterone levels, you could be shooting up testosterone. Your protein synthesis would go up. So you would utilize more of the protein, even if it's not an adequate amount. You would utilize more of it. That's really what testosterone does. Any kind of analog of testosterone increases protein synthesis, the signal telling your body to build more muscle. Use proteins, amino acids to build more muscle. But if you don't have adequate proteins, and we're talking about the simple math would be to say 1 gram per pound of body weight. I think really for guys in your 40s getting older and that still want to perform well, so I think 1.2 even. So, but let's say you're a 200-pound guy, get 200 to 220 grams of protein minimum a day. I think you can even go up to like at high levels of stress and workout stuff. 1.8 even is not ridiculous. I have a fast metabolism. I do eat a lot of calories, so I end up getting a lot of protein just to hit my calories.
Yeah,
it's got to come from somewhere, right? But without it, you're going to have a really hard time building muscle mass. When you say, well, I don't feel like I recover and I don't have a lot of muscle mass. Well, you're not even having the construction materials necessary to build muscle. So testosterone is not really a solution. So sleep, make sure you're hitting your protein. Simple math. You want to get 200 grams of protein a day, have 4 meals with 50 grams or 40 grams, and then drink a shake after you work out. That's 30 grams of protein, 40 grams of protein. There's your 200 grams. Okay. 220 if you do 4 50-gram meals and a scoop of protein.
Yep.
Okay. Next is like your micronutrients. Very important. It's hard to get these micronutrients from just your food alone, especially vitamin D. It's wintertime. Most of the vitamin D is going to be synthesized from sunlight. It's where most of it's coming from. And this time of year, this part of the country, very hard to get that. You really need about 30 minutes of like full skin exposure. So out in a loincloth for you're really good at this. Butthole. Yeah. Your butthole is actually absorbs it. Really absorb it. But you need like full body. You're out in swim trunks, whatever. For 30 minutes a day would be ideal during the summer. You're not going to get it during the winter. And although you do get some vitamin D from, I think there's some vegetable sources, fish. They're not quality. There's not a really good quality source of vitamin D outside of sunlight and supplementing with vitamin D. So my recommendation would be like 500 IUs of vitamin D3. And then
500 or 5,000.
Sorry, did I say 5,000?
5,000.
5,000. Thank you. So you get an expert here. Yeah.
I design all of our formulas.
So I think, so micronutrients, vitamin D, you need to take that with K2. And then zinc and magnesium are also really important for supporting androgen levels, testosterone levels.
That's funny you said ZMA. I remember in high school that was popular because it'll boost your testosterone levels. You get stronger. All that stuff.
And it's not that they boost your testosterone. It's the lack of will prevent you from having adequate levels. So if you don't have and it takes a while. It's not like you can just take vitamin D. Vitamin D is really a hormone. It's not like you can just take vitamin D and bang. In fact, when you go, like, if you were to get tested, let's say, Tyler, you go to the hospital, it's like you have dangerously low levels of vitamin D. You can't start supplementing with vitamin D. It's kind of like iron is one of those two, where your levels come up. Like, you need to get an injection.
Yeah.
So the easy thing, I guess, to do is to take your micronutrients. Okay, we make these at Titan, but you can find other really good micronutrients with your magnesium, your zinc, your vitamin D. All above levels of what you get just from your dietary sources. And it's, again, not that that's going to increase your testosterone, but just like making sure you're sleeping enough, getting protein, and now you're covering your micronutrients. That's kind of checking the boxes that, okay, well, I've covered the bases, so that's not causing me to have low testosterone.
Yeah, what we're doing, you're looking to create an optimal state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Then next is, are you strength training? And there's so many, like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't have the energy to strength train. I don't have the energy to work out. Should I take testosterone? Well, fuck, if you were sleeping well, you are eating protein, you're taking micronutrients that create an environment for testosterone, and then you just grunted it, through workouts. You made it 60 days where 4 days a week. You made it 2 months where 4 days a week, you're strength training. Maybe you wouldn't be having the question of, do I have low testosterone? Because your testosterone levels would materialize.
Right.
They would come up. Those things are necessary. You have an endocrine response to working out, that your body, it's kind of this, I always think of it of kind of the way your body adapts to workouts is like, it's like the most simple form of evolution. Like your body's exposed to a stimulus and it responds by saying, oh, I gotta lift this boulder. I gotta lift this. So I better get stronger to do that. And part of that isn't just the building muscle. Instead of how your body does that is it increases its hormone levels, right? It increases its testosterone output, telling your body to use these proteins you're putting in it to build more muscle mass. And it does that while you sleep if you have the right micronutrient environment. Right. So all those four things are very key. And I wouldn't recommend, especially some guys that are, early 30s. I really think if you are under 30, I wouldn't fuck around with your taking testosterone. I would prevent it as long as possible. I'll get into kind of my journey of.
I would say just because on average it seems that testosterone levels have dipped, I would tell go check.
Go check. First thing to do is go get checked.
Go get checked.
Like you might just not be sleeping fucking good. Right. So you need to get more sleep. You don't need to take more testosterone. It's like, oh, I'm always tired. And you're going like, well, drink more caffeine, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and skipping over the part where you play video games and sleep till, 4 hours a night. So that's kind of like start there. Those four things: sleep, micronutrients, protein, workout, strength training. After that, and this is where I say like, testosterone levels really shouldn't start to fall off. Like get environmental factors aside, schedules and stuff that you can't help. I get it. But usually it's after 35. Okay.
Yep.
Then you get to where, like you said, well, let's say you go get tested. I think if there's not a hard and fast number, but let's use 40. Okay. If you're 40 and your testosterone's above 500, your total testosterone level is above 500, I personally, you make your own decision. I would say don't fuck with it. If you're above 500, then you have adequate testosterone to recover, do all the things you want, no complications. You're not sticking yourself with needles. If you're above 500, you'd kind of be crazy to start taking testosterone.
What about if your natural levels at 30 were 800? And that's a 300-point drop.
So, also, I said you'd be crazy. I am 44, and if I found out tomorrow that my levels were 500 and I was natural, I'm not, I would immediately go get a prescription for testosterone because I want them to be 900. But I also understand that I'm probably going to take testosterone. I mean, could I stop? Maybe. I don't want to find out.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be muscular. I like the workouts I do. I can still work out like I did. For the most part, when I was a young guy, mid 20s, early, I'd say early 30s, probably when I was lifting the heaviest. I don't try to. I don't pretend that I could lift as heavy as I used to, but I have a pretty strenuous workout routine that I like to stick to, and I don't want to change that. So I take testosterone. But I think if you're looking, what's the number? What's the benchmark? 500. 500 is not optimal, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think for most guys who are, you can be aesthetic, you can be lean, muscular, all those things on less than, even if your levels aren't 500, if you're doing all the other things. Right. So I think if you're looking for a benchmark, 500 is it the exact number?
The range is what I've always heard, 300 to 800.
300 to 800 is
1,000.
Yeah, 300,000, 300 to 800. I think if you're enhanced, meaning you are taking TRT, I think you can go up to 1,200 maybe. But then let's talk about like optimal. Optimal would be in that 800 to 1,000, 1,200 range. Like that's pretty, not superhuman. You're not there yet, but really good levels where you're going to feel fucking good. Mm-hmm. You're going to feel really good with levels, total testosterone levels over 800. To get there though, and this is something I've really changed my thinking of anabolic use. So the first cycle I ever took, this is kind of my story. The first thing I ever did, I was 32, 33. I think it was my 32nd birthday actually. Okay. It was my 32nd birthday. I was going through a divorce at the time, and my ex-wife we were college athletes together, really against, not that I was trying to take steroids in college, but really shameful, right? That steroids are bad. And that after college was over, it was still like steroids are bad. Don't do that. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, just, but I felt fine. I felt great. It was fine. I had a friend, Ben is his name. He was a very competitive bodybuilder, super into the whole thing. Took up, you know, he was like getting on the gas, getting
all the drugs.
Yes, he was into it. He's very knowledgeable about it. And it wasn't until I'm decoupled from this relationship that would be frowned upon if I had, you know, illegal steroids. And I had this buddy. What he said to me, I'm kind of blowing my horn, but I was a muscular guy naturally. You know, I would cut weight to wrestle 197 pounds, very lean in college, and I only grew after college. And he had told me he's like, you should. I said, I'm like, really? He goes like, wow, everybody thinks you are anyway.
Yeah.
And I said, really? He goes, well, until we started traveling together, I always thought you were. I'm like, well, if that's the case. So the first cycle I ever took was actually it was no testosterone. This is kind of crazy. I didn't want to take a shot. So I took Winstrol and D-ball. And I fucking changed so much. Like too soon. You know, like people who knew, like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like it's a lot. But they're very strong oral steroids, and D-ball, it puts a lot of water weight on you. It's like a good power lifter, makes you very strong. And kind of this is this is not advice. Don't follow me on this. But the reasoning, if you want to get to like the bro science reasoning, to take those two compounds together, D-ball would put a lot of water weight on you. Winstrol's very leaning and it pulls water off. It's like a finishing drug. Both of them make you strong. Both of them help grow muscle mass at a great rate. So that's why I put those two together. Okay. Later, as I'm kind of getting more educated and stuff, then I realized you really need testosterone as a base. And then you can take these other compounds because they're all analogs of testosterone. All anabolic steroids they're all analogs and get kind of different properties of testosterone. The mistake I made, I guess, I never wanted to be a competitive bodybuilder.
Right.
And so I'm not holier than thou. Part of it was fear. I never took like bodybuilding level doses. But even at that, I took much more than I would have had to get the results I achieved or wanted to achieve.
Right.
And this is where I'm a big believer now. You can get 80% plus of the results you're ever going to get out of very small doses. Very small doses. You don't need to mix a bunch of. Then there's guys. If they list this, they'll say I'm completely full of shit. Now, professional bodybuilders, amateur bodybuilders, I guess you'd put them all in the same group. Like people who want to be competitive bodybuilders aside, you really don't need to take much to look like you're on a lot.
Right.
Now, there's super responders and there's non-responders. If you are what we would call a hard gainer. You don't respond well to weight training. You don't respond well to high protein, a lot of food. You just have creatine doesn't do it. And guess what? Like you're not going to respond well to steroids, and taking more steroids doesn't mean you're going to respond better.
Right.
If you can eat, God, I eat 5,000 calories. I don't gain weight. I eat 10,000 calories. I gain weight. Well, the same is going to happen when you start taking testosterone. It's not going to make a huge difference because you don't fucking gain muscle well.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. I don't tan well.
Right.
Okay, like it's not something you can change. Some people just aren't responders. Then you have like what are professional bodybuilders? They're super responders, right? They're usually the length of their joint to joint is short, big round muscle belly. As soon as you introduce a little weight training to it, boom, blow up. Same thing when you introduce hormones to it. That process, that protein synthesis, that muscle building process, boom, blows up. Those guys will take very high levels of testosterone. And I won't get into cycles. I'm not, what you hear people taking, I could tell you like what I know, I know bodybuilders and what they have taken, but it's so non-universal.
Right.
From one coach to the other. I know there's coaches that push a lot of gear. Some, I think the smartest is to be very conservative. It's most of the year, and then you can kind of blast up until a show and then cut back to just baseline testosterone levels. But I always thought like baseline testosterone levels for bodybuilders, like 500, okay, 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm talking milligrams.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about TRT to kind of understand dosing. TRT is typically going to be around 150 milligrams to 250 milligrams per week. Ideally you would divide that up into 7, take a shot a day. I don't. I do 200 milligrams. I take 100 milligrams on Monday, 100 milligrams on Thursday. It's not perfect, but I do it twice a week. Okay. Morning and night. So it's the weeks equal. And I think the 500 milligrams. So like talking about testing, I remember one time I was taking 500 milligrams, like the biggest cycle I ever took was 500 milligrams of test, 600 milligrams of EQ. And then I took, Anavar, 50 milligrams Anavar, divided up 25 in the morning, 25 before I worked out. Super strong, had headaches. The EQ is equipoise. It's an equine steroid. But it really increases your red blood count.
Yep.
And so it gave me headaches. But during that time, I went and had my testosterone checked. Still to this day, I don't know what it was, because the test that I went to, the BioLife, wherever it was, they only measured up to 3,000. So it just in red, because I was out of the norm, in just the red, it just said plus 3 or greater than 3,000. I don't know what it was. I've talked to bodybuilders that have been actually got it tested and been 8,000. You can have crazy levels, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's healthy to be way up there. And like I said, I think you can take. So now I get my testosterone levels checked twice a year. Again on 200 milligrams. Now when I go to get the lab results, I always go. I won't take a shot. So if let's say I'm going to get it on a Thursday, I won't take a shot until after the lab results. Right. So there is some fluctuation there. But now when I go to get it tested, I'm in like the high 800s. Mm-hmm. So I'm optimal, but I'm not like blown out of the water in terms of what you can be. If I were to go back, and from 32 to 38 is when I would, if you want to say like hit it hard, like that's when I was like more experimental with,
right.
So that's when I went the hardest. It wasn't like I was constantly taking huge doses or what those doses were, but I really believe had that whole time I just taken 200 milligrams and maybe played around with like a little Primobolan, maybe some EQ, Masteron, like I would have had the exact same, especially if like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go step on stage. I'm just trying to look good for vanity reasons, just for fun. Yep. It's just for funsies. I'm just doing it like to recover better and have muscles, yep. Now I don't look incredibly different. Part of it's just time in the gym and staying consistent. That's so important too. People want results right now. Yeah. And then they want them to last. Well, guess what? Like they last only as long as you're working out, only as long as you're taking that testosterone. If I stop tomorrow, it would all go away. Mm-hmm. That's no one likes to hear, no, it would it absolutely would. Yep. It would all go away. I would probably eventually, because I wouldn't get fat. I think I would weigh 190 pounds. Yeah. Okay. So, it's staying really consistent in doing that. But I think the jump to, I want to do TRT is really fast without addressing like the underlying issues. Sure. And then the second part of that is people who think that they want to be on steroids, want to be on TRT, way overestimate the amounts you have to take to get the results. I'll put up like workout posts and stuff and get the needle emoji, or that's like post a workout or post a diet or something and get like, well, that's all steroids. Like, and also I take 200 milligrams of testosterone. Bullshit. I understand why people say that, because I used to think the same thing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Just the stigma that comes with it.
It is. Yeah. Well, I used to think like, no, you have to be on way more. Right. Yeah. That's trend.
Right.
No, it's, it's not.
It's obviously coming from people that have zero clue.
Yeah. 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 Tren, by the way, terrible drug. But it's super abused. It's what's crazy to me is like trends become common, like maybe not common, like everybody's using it, but people talk about trend. It was like super risky. It was like the hardest core. You're like, oh, fucking, it's like that dude takes PCP. Like, wherever you're smoking weed, like that guy smokes a crack pipe. But Tren, I don't know if it was Tren Twins or what, it just became like normal place to take Trends, and not like people on their first fucking cycle will take Tren. Right. Terrible drug. It was never meant for long-term use. In fact, Trenbolone was used. It's pellets that go underneath. Do you know how to use it? It goes underneath. For those who don't know, Tren is in pellets, and you put it under steer's skin. And what it's used to do is basically grow your beef, put a lot of meat, a lot of muscle on your beef in a short amount of time. They don't have. They're not planning on these animals living a long time and care what their fucking organs and stuff happen to. It's never meant for long-term human use, especially at age, guys, 20, 22, 24, 25. But I sound like an old guy saying, you got to think long-term. What's that going to be at 45, 55? Are you going to be around for that? Because it's not just bad, like internally for your organs, but also really hard on your brain. and this is not an endorsement of tren, but if you were going to take tren, take 10 milligrams a day, like 70 milligrams a week.
Blast it.
You don't have to take 600.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. But no one wants to do that.
Yeah. Well, I was 25 once. I remember that.
Go for it.
Yeah. I never thought long term. So, but I do now because I'm old as fuck.
Yeah.
Where we at, Luke?
28 minutes.
28 minutes. That's perfect. Is there anything else you want to add to the TRT talk?
No, like I said, I think, I don't even think like the clinic stuff, but I think it's good because it gives it gives guys good quality sources of testosterone. Like I said, it used to be like, do you know a guy at the gym that he does his own compounding? I'm not even saying that they're all terrible sources, but I don't know what the quality control of there's probably the guy you're buying from at the gym that makes his own testosterone in his bathroom lab probably doesn't have the same quality control as your compound pharmacy. Now, maybe he does, but I'm just guessing if an eyelash falls to one of those bottles, is he tossing that bottle or is he taking tweezers, getting that eyelash out, fill it up, and then you're fucking injecting that under your skin?
Yeah.
There's a lot of horror stories of that as well. So just, I also think guys who are thinking about it, they don't want to talk to their doctor about it, but it's become so commonplace. I don't have any recommendations as far as telehealth. I've heard good things. I have a doc here in town that I actually now am able to get it from. I literally pick up my prescription at the Walmart pharmacy is how like commonplace it is. I did get really excited because they switched it. I didn't know they switched it, but they switched it to 10 ampules of it's 1 ml. But I used to get it was 10 mLs in a big bottle. And the last time I went, they said, "No, you're getting 10 bottles. Is that correct?" And I was like, "Yeah." I thought I was like, "Oh, I got the jackpot of testosterone." I didn't. It's just little tiny bottles. Thanks for nothing. Yeah. But price wise, it's pretty cheap. You're going to pay $110 to $150 for 10 weeks worth at a time is what they'll prescribe. And yeah, I mean, you can cruise on that and feel really good. And like I said, I think going and talking to your trust me, your doc, if you're thinking about it, think about asking a buddy or whatever, like your doctor's heard it plenty of times. And if your doctor, I mean, the first thing to ask your doctor is, could I get tested? And then you guys can have that conversation on, does it make sense for you to optimize your testosterone levels? And whether your doctor says it or not, the questions we initially started with, how's your sleep? What's your diet like? Are you weight training? All those should be addressed because you may not even have to hit the needle. And I would recommend anyone going as long as you possibly can outside of wanting to be a competitive bodybuilder. You're going to have to take some sauce if that's the case. Outside of that, I would go as long as you possibly can natural. And it's not because I think like it's not even safety or anything. It's maximizing your growth to your fullest potential before you take the next step.
Yep.
And because all those disciplines you'll gain in your diet and nutrition from having to do it natural, they're still in place when you're not natural, but you'll be really glad you'd adopted all those habits because they'll exponentially increase what you can do when you optimize your hormone levels.
Yep. There you have it, folks. Go get your levels checked. Get on the sauce.